Hey guys, I am making you this video because I want to give you some feedback on your rhetorical triangle brainstorms. I decided to grade those before I graded your major instructions and audience analysis from Unit 2 because I want to give you this feedback before you turn in officially the rest of your assignments in this unit. I haven't forgotten about the Unit 2 final assignment. I will get those graded to you as soon as possible. My sick week has kind of taken away some of my grading time. So if anyone is having anxiety, wants to know their grade immediately, please email me because I will make a special case for you if you are feeling that way. And then I know that some of you might be early college students and progress reports are due from your teachers, I think the 9th of April, so you'll absolutely 100% have all of that stuff graded and up to date by then. So if you're wondering about that, I do apologize, but it's coming down the line. I just graded your rhetorical triangle brainstorms. What I'm doing here is just giving a blanket amount of feedback to everyone, and I'm going to tell you about the 3 different grades that you might see. If you got a 25 out of 25, you did an excellent job. Your analysis was perfect, and you went as far as asking yourself questions like, why do I feel this way? What makes me say this? How do I know this is happening in the audience's mind? How do I know that this is happening? Or how do I know these are the effects of whatever video primary source that I'm analyzing? So I thought that it was just brilliant. I think only just a couple of people got that 25 out of 25. Most people got a 23 out of 25, and that means you did an excellent job, but there were just a couple of places where you could have asked yourself those types of questions to go one step further. You may have done that on 5 out of the 7 topics you covered, but I wanted to see it on as many as possible, all of them really. So 23 out of 25 means you did an excellent job. You're headed in the right direction, but just keep analyzing those questions. Some of you might see a 20 out of 25, and that just means that I'm looking for more details. I felt like you had a good foundation, but I didn't quite get as much content as I wanted to get from you. More details, more analysis of those details, just really digging and exploring the things that you're seeing. So there's kind of 3 things that I think, depending on your brainstorm, there's 3 potentials for your essay or for your future paragraph assignments within this unit. If you got a 25 out of 25, I think that means you're well equipped to write the level of analysis that I'm looking for the final paper, and you don't concern me at all, meaning I'm not worried about your ability to do well on the final paper. If you got a 23 out of 25, I'm not concerned with you, but most of my students who could ask more questions like, what makes me say this? How do I know? Why? Those types of questions. Why do I feel this way? Sometimes that means that in the final paper, my students will be able to identify elements from the primary source. So that means identify elements from the music video, the movie trailer, or the commercial, and identify correctly any of those elements that are associated then with the rhetorical triangle. But maybe they struggle with making the connection between what they see and what it means. They can tell me both of those things, but they don't bridge very well, if that makes sense. So that if you got a 23 out of 25, I just want to make sure you're really working on making those connections very, very clearly, and explaining. You might feel like you're over-explaining. You might feel like, well, isn't it obvious? Why do I need to tell you that? You should just already know. Say every detail you're thinking in your head. That will get you from that 23 category to a 25 category. My students who have a 20 out of 25, that might be the students I would be most concerned about for the final paper, in that you might run the risk of only just summarizing what you see in the video, or you might run the risk of only just saying, this is the audience, this is the purpose, this is the tone, but not explaining why you got that or how you got there. So if you've got a 20 out of 25, just make sure that you're really digging and analyzing as much as you can. All right, so in general, most of the, again, 23 out of 25 people, you want to ask yourself questions like, okay, if you say the audience is young people, why are you saying that? What makes you say that the audience is young people? How do you know that that's the audience? If you say this is the message, how do you know? What makes you say that? What from the video, what from the music or the lyrics or the sounds or whatever makes you feel that way? What about the tone? You identified the tone as this, but what makes you say that? Why did you think the tone was comical? Why did you think the tone was sad? Why did you think the style was, that, I don't know, 90s style or 80s style or whatever? What made you say that? Why did you say it was narrative? So that's just in general. Ask yourself that question at every step of the way in every writing that you do for this Unit 3. Regarding the message, most of you who were looking at movie trailers got the message 100% loud and clear. Actually, most of you got the message really, really well. There were a couple people who looked at a music video and told me what was happening in the music video, but just the narrative of the video or the narrative of the story that the lyrics are portraying, that's not 100% what the message is. So take that and think about theme. What are they trying to get me to think? What are they trying to get me to do? Are they trying to get me to believe something? What's the theme of the song? And that might help you identify message even more clearly. And yeah, again, so if you did a movie trailer, I think most of y'all did a really good job identifying message. We're going to come back to style because I think that many of you are still struggling with the best way to identify style. So I have an example that we'll look at in this video. Audience, you guys are doing a really good job with audience. I just want you to be as concrete as possible when you classify who the audience is. So for example, if you say young people, what does that mean? Does that mean 5-year-olds? Does that mean 14-year-olds? Does that mean 22-year-olds? Young is a very subjective word, so what does that mean? Be as concrete as you can. And then just avoid using the word anyone anywhere in your audience analysis. So, for example, if you want to say that the audience is anyone who feels a certain way, well, someone might feel a certain way but would be more drawn to one style of movie as opposed to another style of movie. Or someone might feel a certain way but be drawn more toward rock music than toward rap music, or toward country music over classical music. So it has to be more than just anyone feeling a certain way. So just be careful of that word. That word will throw up a red flag as I evaluate. So just do a search for the word anyone in any of your audience analysis and get rid of it. Tone, you guys did a really solid job with tone. When you identify tone, make sure that you pick a tone word, which is usually an emotion or an adjective that describes an emotion. There were a couple of rhetorical triangle brainstorms that talked about tone, but didn't give me that emotion. And tone is really linked to mood and emotion, or a descriptive word for how someone could feel, because it's the tone that the speaker has, which is their mood toward the subject matter. Is the tone angry? Is the tone excited? A lot of you were on the right track, but then there were a couple of them that talked about the lyrics of the music piece or the words, but didn't identify what that tone is. Regarding speaker, y'all did just fine. You might also consider identifying the characteristics of the speaker: age, gender, what they look like, or how old they are. Well, I said age. anything that you can do, like, who is this person? Not only what are they saying, that is important, but who is the person doing the speaking? Because that might help you identify audience, actually. We tend to gravitate toward people we can connect with on some level. With the rhetorical appeals, I think you all have pathos figured out. Again, always be sure to ask yourself questions like, what specific elements in this video make me feel this way? So if you're saying this appeals to our sense of sadness, what about it? Is it the music? If you say the slow music appeals to our sense of sadness, go one step further. Why? How? How is that working? How has the world trained us to associate the color yellow with brightness and happiness? Or, how, if you say this makes me feel happy because of the colors, well, then talk about color theory. Yellow usually is associated with excitement or, that pop of color. Black is usually associated with darkness or depression or sadness or something like that. When you're analyzing a rhetorical appeal, make sure that you're approaching it from the viewpoint of the producers of this video are targeting the audience's emotions, sense of logic, or sense of credibility. Not one speaker is targeting another speaker's sense of credibility, logic, or emotions, unless you think that the producers did that in order to target the audience. And if that's the case, make sure that it's really, really, really clear. Okay, so going back to this concept of style, one of the best music videos that I can think of to really discuss style is Feel Good Inc. by the Gorillaz. So, okay, that's good. So when the video first starts, I get this impression almost of like Call of Duty, like this video game style, and I think that's how I would initially classify the style of this video is very much like a first-person video game style. But then we get, into our main speaker, who is this character, and is the graphic representation of our band and our singer, and it gives me this impression stylistically of like a graphic novel, comic book, or cartoon. Although I think graphic novel, if we're thinking of those three classifications as complete separate entities, graphic novel is the one that I would most likely classify this as, again, stylistically, because a cartoon to me says kind of childish, a little bit younger, but a comic book to me says bright colors, superheroes, things like that. But a graphic novel tends to speak toward more of the raw, real emotions of literature that's presented in a way that uses mostly images. I would also use the word, so in addition to this first-person video game style and graphic novel style, I would also classify the style of this video as kind of grungy. I get that impression through the color choices that they've used to produce this video. It's muted tones, dark images. It reminds me kind of something that's a little bit dirty, not as put together, but I think that they're doing this for a reason. And then if I continued on with my rhetorical analysis, I would try to figure out, like, what is the reason for that? Are they targeting, is this targeting a certain audience based on this style? Like, who's going to be interested in this style? So this is my example of classifying style, just trying to find a way to think about other things that have been done and produced that fit the style you're looking at here. If you're looking at a music video, you can think about it in terms of genre and then subgenre. If you're looking at a movie trailer, same thing. Think about it in terms of genre and subgenre. If you're looking at commercial, that might be the hardest thing to assess style. So if you're having trouble with that and you want to bring it up in your paper, let me know, send me a link to your video, and we can look at it together. Sometimes it takes me a little bit of analysis to figure out exactly what styles I should even offer as examples. So I think that pretty much covers everything for you guys here. You did an excellent job on your rhetorical triangle brainstorms. If you need anything, if you have questions about anything, please let me know. I feel like you're the class I have reached out to the least in the past couple of weeks, so I'm going to kind of make sure that next week you get most of my attention. But if you need something, you just let me know.